Rent or buy? This is probably something that a lot of you are thinking about, especially first-time home buyers and everybody's favorite target of opportunity,
millennials.
But there's really only one reason that you should decide whether to rent or buy. Which do you want to do? There's no such thing as the right or wrong decision. Every decision you make when it comes to renting or buying comes with its own pros and cons. It comes with its own strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Every single situation is different. Your individual situation is different. Like in so many of our videos, I'm going to take a contrary position to the status quo. A contrary position to the typical realtor or typical person in this business that says that, oh, you want to buy. Of course you want to buy. You don't want to throw away your money. You don't want to give it to the landlord and pay their mortgage. You want to own your own home. That's part of the American dream.
It's like one size fits all. It's never really true.
Think for a second of the 2,500 calorie diet that the USDA says is the right diet for the average American. Man, woman, age, fitness, that's what the government says, 2,500 calories, that's about where you are. The point is that generic advice never really works for anybody except this mediocre middle. Nobody wants to be in the mediocre middle. Everybody's a little bit above or a little bit below average in some way, shape, or form. And most of you watching this video are probably desiring and striving to be above average. The status quo likes to say that it's all about the money, that you want to be paying your own mortgage and building equity and owning a part of the American dream. But that's not exactly the entire picture, because the cost of owning a home is much higher. The cost of buying a home is much higher. The cost of maintaining a home is much higher when you own than when you rent. That's why it's important to understand what it is that you want to do. You can justify with mathematics and statistics whether or not it's a good economic decision or not based on your individual wants and needs. An example I like to use is a Honda Prius versus a motorcycle. Both are great at fuel economy. Both work very well in cities. Easy to park, easy to maneuver, easy to get around, easy maintenance costs. But you kind of have to want the motorcycle. It's also more than just time. The status quo likes to say if you're planning on staying in a home for X number of years, then it makes sense to buy. Well, that also isn't necessarily true, because there is no magic maturity date for real estate that says after you stay there for a certain period of time that you're going to get your money back. That's just not the case. Every market, especially these days, is micro-local. It matters which building you're in some cases, in some scenarios. It matters what neighborhood, what zip code, how old it is, what's coming next in the next 5 years or 10 years, what's being built or what becomes available, what's been remodeled. All of that matters, and you can't possibly see into the future to see where that's going to be. So you could get to that magical 7-year period that a lot of agents like to talk about and not be able to get the money back that you expected. Therefore, selling would cost you money. So the cost of ownership in that entire period of time is basically wasted on you, because now you're going to spend all that money trying to sell the place and you're not going to make any money off of it. It's not about the time, and it's not about the money. There's no magical formula that makes those things work out for you. If freedom of movement is important to you, if moving from job to job or moving from place to place or having the ability to move in the city, out of the city, and so on, maybe renting is a better option for you, because you have that freedom of mobility. You can break a lease, possibly pay a fine or pay a couple months rent, and then you can move and go someplace else. That is far cheaper than trying to sell a house and buy or rent in another area. Selling a house takes time. It may not happen the way you want it to. You may not be able to get the price that you want. You may have to spend more money in order to do that than you want. So if freedom of movement is important to you, then renting is definitely a better way to go. Buying a home just to build equity is not necessarily a good idea, because there's only 2 ways that you can get equity back out of real estate. You sell it, or you take out a loan against that equity. And in fact, the longer you own a home, typically the more expensive it gets to maintain. Things break, major systems break, HVAC, septic, whatever your systems are, those things get more expensive as time goes on. So if you want to own a home because you want that pride, you want to be able to do with that home what you please. You want to be able to change that kitchen into the kitchen of your dreams. You want to be able to change that man cave in the basement into something that you can be really proud of and really enjoy that space. Whether or not you choose to rent or buy is based on a decision that you make based on what you want. If you're having trouble making that decision, talk to us. Happy to walk you through a couple of the things that you may not be aware of and that most agents won't tell you, because what I'm not going to do is tell you to buy a house when you shouldn't. What I'm not going to do is tell you to rent a house when that may not be the best idea for you. Which do you want to do? What? Ah, that's terrible. That's no. Yes, what? Yeah.